welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern at the request of Patreon subscriber Mo, and this is Mono-Blue Belcher. Goblin Char Belcher is a card that people built building decks around ever since Mirrodin. It's aspirational, it's exciting. How do I get all the lands out of my deck? What can I do to make this busted? Before the Oops All Spells shell was really discovered and then solved, Goblin Char Belcher was the turn 1 combo deck. Now when people say, if I play against Oops All Spells, I lose. They used to say, if I play against Belcher, I lose. And this build of Belcher is pretty cool because it's different in that it actually does play a lot of lands. They just are not lands when Goblin Char Belcher looks at them. I did play this deck just about a month ago on the channel, and playing the same Modern deck twice about a month apart is not something I normally do, but I had 2 Patreon subs request it, and this is what I do on the channel. I play what the Patreon subs request. I was also pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed this deck last time I played it. It's a deck that I basically just kicked the crap out of whenever I played against it, and then didn't really think that much about it, even though it was obviously winning tournaments because it is still like a top 5 Modern deck on Goldfish. However, playing it and getting the play patterns, it actually was pretty satisfying Magic, because this is kind of a more old school Goblin Char Belcher deck. Back in the day, people would cast like Mana Severance after they played their Goblin Char Belcher to remove all the lands from their deck and then activate it. And that was a much slower thing than just trying to get 7 mana on turn 1 and Force of Will be damned. And this build plays much closer to that. You have Floggy Archaeologist and Thundertrap Trainer and Tameshi that are card advantage and dig for spells, and then you have Flare of Denial that you can sack any of the previously mentioned creatures to enable. Force of Negation pitches any card in the deck other than the 2 artifacts you play. Jwari Disruption, Baleen Veil, Sink into Stupor, even Seagate Restoration. These are all cards that I cast the front of to meaningful effect the last time I played the deck, even though they are primarily here just as lands that aren't lands. I do notice that this build of the deck does not have Pact of Negation in it, which was pivotal to many of my wins last time I played, so I'm interested if the metagame has moved or what's up with that. But I'm not a Goblin Char Belcher builder, so what do I know? I'm going to play what I have here. Let's get after it. This is Mono-Blue Belcher in Modern. I'm on the draw in round 1. I'm going to keep my hand. I have 2 lands, and then I have 4 of the cantrip bodies, which, because of the construction of the deck, can dig for lands too. Even though they normally can't. Oh, good! What a way to start. Nobody is playing Orderly Plaza except the mirror match. Okay. I am buckled up for some of the worst Magic we could ever imagine. Maybe this mirror is actually really interesting with all the texture and thinking about the 10 free counter spells plus the Force Spike, and I don't know, maybe this is more interesting than I'm giving it credit for. But my hand is really slow and steady, which is not really what I want in a combo mirror, especially on the draw. I'd love to draw Lotus Bloom here and give myself something to do. Okay, Force of Negation plays extremely well. Opponent now also rolling their eyes into the sun after, now we know what's going on here. Oh my god, they even have the same 2 lands that I had. Okay, I've drawn both of my Force of Negations that I play. Hopefully those are useful. I might be running into a Force Spike here, but it's fine. I just have to play my cards. That's fine. Deal. I got more where that came from. It's basically all my opening hand did. The Spell Snare, the Jwari Disruption, almost anything would have got me there. Now they have a trainer, and I couldn't play around that by waiting for my land drop because that was digging for my land drop. Seagate Restoration, so they found their 3rd land over there and played Baleen Coast. They're still holding Seagate. I'm going to play Thundertrap Trainer now. This looks at more cards. Oh my goodness. Well, I missed, but I did find a Lotus Bloom. I'm going to take that over the Disrupting Shoal, because I already have 2 pitch counter magics in my hand. Seagate played tapped. Now they're showing Flare of Denial on the hard cast, and they know I'm missing land drops. The Lotus Bloom adds another texture to the game. I think I can display this better. Let's pop it out and resize it. Yeah, that looks good right there. Okay, I'm going to cast another Trainer. I Bees in the Trap. I'm going to get hardcast Flare of Denial here. You saw that coming a mile away. Oh god, Jwari Disruption, that's so much worse. I am not going to Disrupting Shoal that. I think I have time to chill. As much as I would like to be digging, I have more cards in my hand than my opponent, and I have 2 copies of Force. Them resolving their dopes is really powerful. We're kind of playing this like a control mirror right now, which is interesting thing. Like, we're both just trying to get 2-for-1s and hit our land drops, and we both know there is a combo somewhere in the deck, and we both know we're going to have to beat a bunch of permission to resolve it. They just picked up a Jwari Disruption, by the way. Or not a Jwari Disruption, a Disrupting Shoal. And me missing land drops puts me way behind. War of Invention. This is for 0. They've got 3 cards in hand. One of them's Jwari Disruption. Okay, I'm going to... Disrupting Shoal. All these disruptions are confusing me. I'm going to pitch Disrupting Shoal. I guess I could have literally done this the other way, but this doesn't exile. Alright, so you are disrupting my Shoal, pitching Sink into Stupor. Tameshi becomes a problem if this resolves, so I will pitch an Archaeologist, and now my exile pile. This nice Lotus Bloom that I popped out looks a lot dumber now. Ignore the cards on top of Lotus Bloom. Flare of Denial, okay. Can I hit a land drop here? No, still no. Oh my god. Deck, come on! I guess I'll take War of Invention. Alright, I mean, there is some RNG stuff happening here too that's not great, but, I mean, my opponent's down to 1 card in hand. They're about to draw another one. I'm holding a hard counter, and Lotus Bloom jumps me straight to 5 mana. I don't feel disadvantaged here. Okay, Lotus Bloom comes off this turn. Are we going to have a counter war over this? I think if they counter this, I cannot afford to fight back. Because if they counter this, then resolve their own Belcher, they win. And I think I need this Flare. Oh wow, Pact on that. Yeah, that's fine. That's going to cost them a turn. Baleen Veil, okay. I've got the Coast. I'm working my way back up to 7 mana, which is all I need to do here. They got to take a turn off to pay for their Pact. Ooh, something's happening in the end step. They're going to whir. Now that I know Tameshi's not in their hand, I'm not going to fight over a whir for 0. That resolves. This tells the story that I don't have counter magic, even though I do. And now I can answer a Tameshi, even if that does happen. Plus, they have to time walk themselves off this Pact. And I'm untapping into a hard cast Flare of Denial, which gives me just more flexibility. And they just played a tapped Baleen Coast from hand. If I draw a land here, I'm threatening lethal with protection on my next turn. Okay. Jwari Ruins. I have 7 mana plus Disruption on my next turn. I don't think they can win. Because they either draw a threat and I counter that, then I win, or they draw interaction and I counter that and I win. I'm trying to think of what card they could have that matters here, or that does both things that it needs to. 6 mana in the pool. Thundertrap Trainer, Con Queso. Yeah, this is just game, right? Alright. I'm going to counter this by sacking a blue creature. And then I have 7 mana, which is the magic number. Cool. They had a bunch of obnoxious interaction points early, but just sticking to the plan here is going to get it done. They were for Lotus Bloom, and even have the backup Flare. Flare number 2. Here we go. Zoop ya. There are more than 14 cards in my deck. There they are. Yay! Alright. Well, that was about as dumb as imaginable. Okay. Consigned to Memory counters the Charbelcher, which is really good. For 1 mana, Mystical Dispute counters all cards in the deck, which is really good. Tamnio gives me a pivot, just something else to do, which I like. This mountain is in the sideboard, by the way, for decks that play things like Boseiju or White Orchid Phantom that kill one of your lands, or and then you can search for a basic. And we play a mountain because Goblin Charbelcher doubles the amount of damage it deals if you reveal a mountain, which ideally there are just no lands in the deck when we go for it. But that's not a guaranteed outcome. if we board in the mountain, like sometimes you just go for it and they haven't besieged you yet, so might as well be a mountain. Spell Snare does counter all of the creatures, the 2-for-1 creatures. Disrupting Shoal is a card that I just didn't really like having to line up, and now I'm bringing in Consign to Memory, which can fight over a Belcher on a cleaner and more direct basis. I need all the lands. War is really important. Maybe I'm over sideboarding here and I just don't actually have room for all these things I want to bring in. Tameshi's good. Force is great. Sink into Stupor is good. Like, do I want to cut some Baleen Veils? There's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 22 lands still in the deck. If I cut some Baleen Veils, like this just doesn't have text outside of being a land, which it normally doesn't anyway. I think I'm going to shave a Spell Snare and some Baleen Veils. The mountain looks so jarring in the sideboard, just that red mountain in this mono-blue deck. It's otherwise so serene and calm, and then, rawr, mountain in a sideboard, rawr. That's what mountains sound like, by the way. I am going to keep my hand. I've got lands, I've got the bloom, I've got interaction. Tapped Seagate. Ooh, that's big. Tameshi gives me a route to victory. I am going to zap in the lab because disputing an archaeologist or Thundertrap trainer here can start flushing interactions out of their hand or stop them from digging. If they miss their second land drop, that's pretty cool. And your life total basically doesn't matter here. I don't think we're going to get into a spot where I'm chipping in with Thundertrap trainer or Tameshi, though I understand that it's live. It could happen. Okay, I'm out of lands to play here. I would like to draw one next turn, or have them go for something this turn that I get to counter. I'm going to dispute this. The Consign counters the actual Belcher or Lotus Bloom. Oh wow, that's worth a fight. Okay, cool. They pitched a Tameshi to do this, and they did hit Jwari Disruption. They found another land. Okay, I'm going to have to dig for a land here. I would prefer to draw one of my own rather than have to dig for it. Leaving up a counter here would be nice. Okay, cool. We did it. All right, I'll play Thundertrap Trainer. This taps me out of Consign, but I do have Flare up, and without Lotus Bloom, they won't have 7 mana this turn. Even if they try to cast a Belcher, we can fight that fight. Okay. And if they're flaring my trainer, this is why I saved my land drop for after I played my card. Because if they think they were trying to deny me a land drop there, that might incentivize a 2-for-1 differently. Okay, they tapped mana, then changed their mind. And now it's my turn. Lotus Bloom's on the stack. Or the trigger's on the stack. If they consign this trigger with Replicate, that's a little annoying. Okay, they figured it out. And I do not have the resources to fight over this, and they picked the right spot too. If you fight over the trigger that would cast the suspended spell, then it just stays in exile forever. If you fight over the Lotus Bloom, it goes to the graveyard where Tameshi can still use it. And that did just collapse kind of my whole plan. War of Invention, new plan. I'm going to sit on the War for a minute though, and play Phlogy Archaeologist. See if they've got a Spell Snare available for me. But this turning on Flare of Denial is nice. Tough beats. Okay. Pass the turn. They did miss a land drop last turn. We know their hand is all actual spells. And we've seen Pact of Negation in their deck, so if they play Belcher this turn and Pact my Consign, they win. Okay. Just leaving mana up. Can I hit land drops? Land drops are always good. The Baleen Veil. I'll play the Coast and pass. I'm going to hold up either Whir, Flare, or Consign rather than just tap out for Tameshi. That just doesn't make any sense to do. Looks like they're going to Whir in my end step. I'm not going to Flare this, because I can counter a Tameshi. I can counter with Replicate a Belcher. They're down to 1 card in hand. They're passing now. I think I'm not going to Whir here, because the cards in these decks are counter spells and lands and Goblin Char Belcher, and they didn't play a land, and they didn't play a Goblin Char Belcher. I can play around Jwari Disruption if I wait a turn. Something's happening in my upkeep. Okay, if they have Pact of Negation, they do win here. If this is a Whir for 4, Pact gets it done. It works because they can belch me in their upkeep in response to the gonna die trigger. This can't be Force of Negation because they don't have a second blue card in hand. X equals 4. Flare of Denial. Do my best here. Consign does not interact with Pact of Negation in a way that I'm happy with. Shit. And Belcher Activation is not a triggered ability. Yeah, Pact of Negation, this card missing from my list allows lines like this, where you can really just go for it. Okay, GG. Okay, the Baleen Veil versus Spell Snare versus Tameo. These are the things I have to figure out. Hitting land drops, obviously important. I do still have a lot of land drops. I have all the creatures that dig for land drops. They left in their Disrupting Shoals. We saw them do that game. But they have Pact of Negation, so they can afford to be a little more pushy. I think I'm just going to go back in with my same deck. I hope I have turn 1 Tameo on the play. That would excite me quite a bit. Because that's just like a draw engine and a thing that makes the game about something different. Also, you can use the clues to improvise Whir of Invention, which is another advantage. Into the Floodmaw would win a game like last game, where if they go all in and protect their Belcher with a Pact, bouncing the Belcher, they actually just lose. 2 lands here, 2 Whirs, and 2 counters. I'm going to keep. I am missing the dorks. I don't have any bodies to turn on this flare with. But any land or any 2-drop creature are good draws here. And that's what my deck is full of. They played that tapped. Come on, creature. Or land. Consign to Memory. Don't like it. Seagate Reborn tapped. Opponent's pretty stoked I didn't just stick a Thundertrap Trainer. Zap that in. I will consign the trigger from a creature here, I think. Yeah, I just don't want them digging, and I need to interact somehow. I'm not happy with that, but it felt right at the time. Okay. This is clearly off the top of the deck, or I would have played it last turn. The Consign to Memory does leave a body behind. Okay. Shoal pitching Shoal. Alright, you win that fight. 2 for 1 themselves to avoid me drawing a card. The body does turn on Flare of Denial, though. They just suspended a Lotus Bloom. Right on time. They did miss a land drop, though. We're both kind of in dodo mode here. Ooh, look who got a land. I think playing the land is worth more than holding the 2-mana Force Spike, when my hand is literally full of 3-mana instants. Chock full of them. Blooms down to 2. Still nothing going on over there, but like we said, that means their hand is Goblin Char Belchers or counterspells. Another Jwari Ruins. Keep them coming, tick them up. Now I can cast a counterspell and then pitch another counterspell if I need to counter 2 things, which is most likely to happen next turn. I'll probably Whir in this end step and just flush out one of these counters they play. Okay, played Jwari Ruins. The Force Spike would have actually got me here, but same as these 2 Force Spikes. They are better as lands. Okay, end step or flush out a counter. Oh wow, that just resolved. As if they were F6'd. Okay, what does that mean? I can't force or flare here. I could Whir for a Charbelcher on their turn. I'd also just cast this Charbelcher and see if they're dead. Consign to Memory is a card that I have not tested the interaction on yet. Okay, I'm going to pass with my counterspells available. See how this turn goes. I am not going to fight over Lotus Bloom, am I? I mean, I would like to put it in exile with Force of Negation, but if I cast Force of Negation, then... Alright, I'm going to let that resolve. I'm going to let Whir of Invention do my talking here. I basically need them to make a mistake or for me to draw multiple more counterspells to feel comfortable going off. That's what I'm playing towards right now. But if I Whir for 4 in their end step, I lose my Lotus Bloom, but I can use Force of Negation to protect my spell. Tameshi. Well, this is a problem. Okay. Have to counter this. Flare of Denial. I can pay for a Mystical Dispute. I can Force of Negation a fight back Flare of Denial. There's your Flare of Denial. I have to force this because I can't force the Tameshi directly. And I'm out of juice. I can pay for Mystical Dispute still. And Consign to Memory doesn't interact here. Spell Snare doesn't interact here. Disrupting Shoal may or may not work here. Okay. We got through the fight. I'm more and more convinced that their hand contains Consign to Memory based on the various fights we've had and how they've gone. which means that Whir for Belcher plays around Consign completely. Sink into Stupor. Yeah, bouncing one of the two Consigns doesn't help me. Though Sink into Stupor does beat a Pact of Negation line. I talked about bringing in into the Flood Maw right at the very end of sideboarding for the same thing. Like they go all in, Pact of Negation to protect. That does require a lot of mana being up, though. They're also a deck with Soporific Springs in it. Sink into Stupor. Okay. This is risky into 3 mana, but I think I am going to Whir for 4. This beats Consign to Memory. Okay. Testing. Testing your interaction. They didn't fight over Tameshi last turn. Okay. We've both spent our Lotus Blooms on spells that didn't work. Tameshi's a good draw for me now. Tameshi's a good draw for my opponent as well. They did just tap out of Consign. Okay, I'm going to play Sink into Stupor, face up, and then jam the Belcher, and they have to remove Belcher or win over top of it right now through a Spell Snare. Probably with a Consign to Memory in their hand. Very interesting. Okay. My first ever Belcher Mirror. This was actually more interesting than I thought it would be when I saw their opening land drop game 1 and immediately declared Garbage Magic. There are important things to jockey over. The Tameshi is a juke that both decks are capable of, whether your opponent has Pact or not, whether you sideboard in or out your Disrupting Shoals. Do you still have Spell Snare? My Tamios never came up, but I have those in there, and the list I played last time didn't, so that could happen, could not. That was actually pretty cool. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the draw in round number 2. I have all of the cards in my hand are mana or Goblin Char Belcher, which is all I want in life. Let's go. An Arid Mesa. Okay, I'm going to play the Orderly Plaza tapped and suspend Lotus Bloom. Opponent, you're on notice. I plan to win the game on turn 4. Can you beat that? If this is Boros Energy with kind of a slow start, I really like my spot. If they fetch Hallowed Fountain, okay, yep, Meticulous Archive. I like it less. Some counterspell deck that I actually have to play Magic against rather than Goldfish is not really what I want to see. Arena of Glory. Okay, so we're playing against some Jeskai control deck. The second Bloom, that gives me a lot of juice to shove with. I'm going to play Hydroelectric Laboratory untapped. My life total does matter in this matchup. Their win conditions are like Flage and similar, but I have to interact with a Teferi if they play it, because Suspend just doesn't work with Teferi in play. The rules of the game change, and Suspend cards just cannot come off Suspend. Ajani Nakatl Pariah. This is not my fight. I can race that on damage. Oh, they're missing land drops. Give it to me. Get in my belly. Seagate Restoration tapped and pass the turn. They cannot even cast Counterspell with the mana they're representing. They know I have something because I took 3 damage last turn that I didn't need to. They just have to solve for what something is. And my first Bloom comes off here. And if I need to protect it with Sink into Stupor or Jwari's Disruption, I can. Do I just send in a Mana Leak? If I wait a turn, I don't even have to think about that. I think I'm going to play Seagate Reborn tapped and just pass the turn. Or wait, I have 2 Belchers. That's kind of the whole point here. All right, never mind. I'm going to cast a Belcher. If they do somehow have a counterspell for one of them, all right, yeah, they're just dead. Cool. Neat. Okay, we saw Jeskai Colors and Ajani. Jeskai Energy is a deck, but it's generally more control focused. I don't know what this Ajani is doing in their pile. I'm interested to find out, though. Mystical Dispute counters something like Teferi Time Raveler, a card that I am terrified of. It also counters cards like Counterspell, which I mentioned they may or may not have access to. The only card they played was a target for Spell Snare. I'm going to keep that. I'm just pretty low on Disrupting Shoal as a card, and I understand the necessity of it in the main deck, but once we kind of know what's going on and in the sideboard games, we don't need this kind of generic answer that might miss a lot of things anymore. That's my interpretation anyway. Belcher experts can disagree. Yeah, I think I'm just going to make that one change until I learn more about their deck. The Boros Goofballs strategy is supposed to be positive for Belcher. That's one of the reasons Belcher rose to prominence, is because it's good against the Boros energy strategies. Keep my hand. I have a turn 2 Cantrip Dope that represents a counterspell. That comes down before Teferi. That's what matters. Okay, Oslet Pride. Oh, Boros Energy. Big Boros Energy. Baleen Coast enters tapped. And these creatures all have booties. The trainer digs deeper. Philology Archaeologist is thicker. I think I'm going to play the Thundertrap trainer so they can't just keep teeing off with Ocelot Pride. Ooh, my goodness. All right, they're on that Pride draw. That's really good. And me without a line to Belcher right now. I drew Lotus Bloom, though. That does... I mean, better late than never. I'll take it. Seagate, Reborn as the land. And I'm going to play Thundertrap Trainer, the creature with power. So I can try to tangle with these Ocelot Prides. And I'm looking for a Goblin Charbelcher or Whir of Invention. Baleen Veil, Lotus Bloom. Right, I guess I'll take another Lotus Bloom. Though Baleen Veil does have text in this matchup. But I'm going to try to go heckin' huge in the near future. If I get 3 more turns this game, boy, will I cast a lot of spells that turn. Guide of Souls. That card's really good, but it's not where I put counter spells. Mockingbird. That's what the blue's for. Understood. All right, so they have the City's Blessing already, and they're going to get roughly 8,000 cats this turn. But no point of that was reasonable to interact with Flare of Denial. Here they come. Cats. Cats in life. They might get actually out of range of Belcher here. If they're at just like 45 life by the time I draw my Belcher, it would take 2 shots to kill them. That's crazy. Okay, I think this game is over. And not for me. But I am going to play it out. Gotta do what you gotta do. Thundertrap Trainer. Looking for a Belcher. Disrupting Shoal, Seagate. I will take the Seagate as a land. Reborn. Don't take damage. Okay, I'm so dead. This is crazy. Okay, Mockingbird. I see you. And this one has flying. This one can attack. Hashtag Catbird. And whatever they want to point Guide of Souls at can also attack. And so can every one of these shitters on the ground that they don't care about. Yeah, I'm just dead to damage and forget about. All right. Okay, I think if I was on the play and I had both Lotus Blooms on turn 1 instead of turn 2, we might have been able to erase that, but not like that. That was sick. Okay. Do I want my Fun of Portable Hole in? I feel like that's more to answer stuff like Pithing Needle out of a Whir of Invention than it is to just randomly remove a turn 1 Ocelot Pride. Because you only have Suppression Ray and Lotus Bloom for white mana. So it's not like even if you have your Portable Hole, you're going to be able to cast it. It really is a Whir Bullet, which is a 4 mana play, at which point the game would be over anyway if that's how things were happening. Their mana seems pretty bad. They're a 3-color deck. Harbinger of the Seas would be fine to deploy, but again, I just don't think that's what this game is about. Yeah, I'm going to submit my deck again and hope that on the play this time, and they don't have their nut draw. We've got 1, 2, 3 lands. I will keep 3 lands, Belcher, and a creature to deploy. Seagate Reborn, ship it. And although I don't think their deck has Teferi Time Raveler in it, I do have Force Negation in case they do, because they do have the colors necessary. Okay, on the draw, starting with a tap land. Ranger Cap, that's fun. Opponent's got a little spicy little take. Okay, Hydroelectric Laboratory, take the damage, play Philology Archaeologist. Goblin Charbelcher, Lotus Bloom, Seagate Restoration. I have 4 mana already. I have Belcher. If I don't take Belcher, they're going to know I have Belcher, but I think the blue card is just correct anyway. The Bloom is just too slow. Dude, I'm fine just playing Goblin Belcher on turn 4, passing with 2 counterspells up, and then hoping to untap on turn 3. Hallowed Fountain, zapped it in. Stony Silence, well, I obviously can't play the game with that around. I'm going to pitch Baleen Veil to counter that. Tap land, pass. I have another counterspell here. I could also have played the super patient game where I resolve Belcher. It doesn't work. I bounce their Stony Silence after that, but that takes multiple turns off the game. Okay, well, am I locked in here? No, I'll just flare that. And then I'll play my Belcher next turn. This is getting worse, though. Now if they have left in Static Prison, is that even a thing you would do? Or they have Wear Tear? Okay, now I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to play Seagate Reborn tapped. I can whir for Lotus Bloom and do it all at once. This opens up counterspells, which they may or may not have. And I can sink something into Stupor if I need to buy a turn. They got 6 cards in hand. I would love it if they just, like, cast Flage here, deal 3 to main pass. That's what I want from my opponent. Instead, they're passing with mana open. I don't like open mana, especially when it's blue. Okay, that resolved immediately. Alright. I can bounce a counterspell with Sink into Stupor and just leave Belcher in play for a turn. If they replicate a consign, this is just going to be stinky. Disappointed. Alright, now 2 Belchers are in my graveyard. This is going to get a lot harder. And the cowards at Wizards of the Coast, Sink into Stupor only bounce a spell an opponent controls. I would love to bounce my own Belcher here. The old remand trick, but that's not allowed. Okay, hard mode activated. If I had taken the backup Belcher earlier, this would be less worrisome, but then I wouldn't have had a blue card to pitch to the Force of Negation, and then Stony Silence would be in play. So there's a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas that are on the board here. That doesn't necessarily mean any play was right or wrong, just kind of imagining the past differently. A Disrupting Shoal. They do have a creature on board. I'm on a 17-turn clock. My hand is 3 interaction spells. The Ranger Cap. If I just bounce this, like I could pitch Sink to Shoal. I could sack my Bloom to counter this. I definitely don't want them tutoring up anything plus having a Silence in play. If I sack my Bloom, Charbelcher off the top doesn't win the game on the spot anymore. If I pitch Sink into Stupor, all right, I'm gonna use my Bloom. I just think with 2 Belchers down already, losing the Bloom is okay. Like Tameshi is still a great draw. The Blooms are in there. Hydroelectric Specimen. Change the target of target instant or sorcery to the specimen. This is also a 1/4 with flash. Like this creature, as the creature that it is of interest to me. Okay, I'm just gonna play. I'm going to pass that. I have a 1/4 with flash in my hand. I could just block this Guide of Souls for a while, buy myself a bunch of time. Unfortunately, opponent probably doesn't play pump spells. And unless they just randomly lightning bolt my face. This is annoying, but I can't stop it. I wish this was a 1/1. Okay, do I take one here and ambush the Ocelot Pride next turn? I think I actually do just hold on to the specimen. Just trying to think of, over the long term, what's the best use of my cards? And I don't think saving 1 life here is the best use of my card. Okay, I have 2 Sink into Stupors now, which means I could afford to play one of them as a land. If I get to 7 lands, that's just another route to Belcher. Opponent with the blue splash doing the Lord's work. The best color of Magic, added to the best deck in Modern. Hardly seems fair, honestly. The Ranger Cap. Okay, here we go. Now they can get a Mockingbird and make another Guide of Souls or Ocelot Pride, and then they're just off. Yeah, feeling somewhat foolish for not picking up that Goblin Charbelcher 100 years ago off that first turn Phlogy Archaeologist. Okay, who are they going to buff here? Because this matters a lot. They went for the Ocelot Pride, which is the correct answer, unfortunately. I'm just going to bounce that, because that makes it harder for them to copy it with Mockingbird this turn. That takes a bunch of damage off the board. They still get to play Ocelot Pride and make a cat. Oh, they're leaving mana up. So they have Consign in their hand, which is disappointing news because I've been trying really hard to draw Goblin Charbelcher. And I drew the Spell Snare after I wasted other interaction on Stony Silence, and then they haven't drawn a white card or a 2-mana card since. Wow, they just capped me in my upkeep. Living in Fear. Okay, I can't cast non-creature spells this turn. Tameshi is not a creature, and putting Lotus Bloom into play is not a spell. Yeah, I think I've just value Tameshi here. Okay, Tameshi. I tapped wrong. Dang it. Okay. Return Lotus Bloom to my hand. Oh, wait, I can get enough mana to return Belcher here, can I? All right. Hold on, maybe I didn't tap wrong. Okay, bounce the Hydroelectric Lab. Yeah, I don't need to cast spells here. I haven't played this game, or this deck, enough to have gotten to a spot where I have a Charbelcher in the graveyard while I'm going off with Tameshi. It's normally just a mana engine, so I'm going to have to do some counting here. But unless they can kill Tameshi right now, I think I just won. I can't cast that Flare of Denial. Okay, so Tameshi nets 2 mana per land. I have to have 5 mana to return Belcher, and then 3 mana activated. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I have a land drop. I think I'm here. Okay, white, white, white. Return Lotus Bloom. White, white, white. Return Lotus Bloom. White, white, white. They are done. Okay, Tameshi. Okay, cool. I found a line. I mean, I play these decks for 5 rounds and then I'm done with them for the most part, and it is obvious to any Belcher player and anyone who's played a lot of Modern that Tameshi gets back a Belcher that's in your graveyard with enough lands, but yeah, just experiencing this in real time that, oh yeah, that's an artifact, huh? I thought I was just gonna like draw a card and pass with a bunch of mana up, but no, I win. Cool, we'll take it. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3. I have land, 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 mana, land, land, cantrip. I'll keep. I'm going to play the Baleen Coast and suspend my Bloom. Opponent's on 6. I'm going to hold on to this Jwari Disruption because it could actually be a Jwari Disruption. Ooh, okay, so we're probably playing against Orzhov Sewer. That is a deck that has a bunch of potentially relevant interaction in it. Thundercloud Trainer. I drew Goblin Charbelcher, so maybe we're just on easy mode. That would be great. Only one choice here. I'll take Seagate Restorations and 3 creatures to the bottom of the deck. Hopefully Sink into Stupor can handle whatever Hate Bearer they produce that could disrupt me. I do just have the turn 4 Goldfish, though. Oh, wow, they kept a 1-lander on Aether Vial. Let's get it. Seagate Resto. Zap it in. Oh, that's a little awkward, actually. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I was thinking I'll just Sink into Stupor, literally whatever they put into play, and maybe even the Aether Vial. But then I don't have an untapped land for the next turn. Solitude. Okay. Or are we going to Ephemerate? That doesn't matter either. Okay, this is just like some shit in play. I could Jwari Disrupt it. Do I care? I really don't think I care that they have Solitude in play. Yeah, I would love to bounce their Aether Vial here and just put them in the garbage, but I don't have another untapped land. Okay, I take 3 and then they die. Okay, here we go. These decks don't play Thalia. Oh, that one's actually really annoying and good shit. All right. I will float a blue. I'd like to use the ability, however, it does not find any targets. Okay. I will go to my next turn. Yeah, White Orchid Phantom definitely plays here. Force of Negation. Okay, I'm going to play Baleen Coast tapped, and I think I should try to win all at once. Like, if they have more White Orchids, that's bad. I can counter an Ephemerate. If they just remove my Lotus Bloom, yeah, they might have me in the squeeze at this point. It had nothing to do with the Solitude and everything to do with the White Orchid Phantom. Here, we're going to my turn. Moment of Truth. Can I win? Okay. I can counter a 2 or a 3 drop. Zap in Soporific Springs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Goblin Charbelcher. Moment of Truth. What does this do? I mean, I can't stop it. I could float mana in response to it. But I could float mana if they try to remove my Bloom. Wow, that's good. Alright, well. Good game. But that was somehow the nut perfect curve to beat what I was doing. Alright, Mountain's coming in. Yeah, if I had just bounced their Aether Vial in their second upkeep, or the upkeep before it ticked up to 2, I win that game easily, but that's like, maybe that's just correct to do, because they were so in on it. Obviously their hand's going to work, because they went all in on the Aether Vial. Yeah, okay. I'll buy it. Mountain comes in, Consigned to Memory, counters. Their whole deck is based on triggered abilities and a colorless artifact. I don't care for Disrupting Shoal. They didn't really cast spells that game. Force of Negation could counter the Aether Vial on the way down. Is that how I want to do this? Probably not. Spell Snare is viable. There's Felia and the White Orchid Phantom matter. What are these piles I've made? What's going on here? Okay, so I've already made this change, and then Force of Negation's a maybe if there are cards I would like to have in over it. Like Floodmaw could bounce an Aether Vial, or some random like lock piece. That's probably better than Force of Negation. Okay, I'm going for it. That was a really cool game. Just straight up smoked. I'll keep this hand. Last game was just a great picture of having the tools versus knowing how to use them. Okay. Dual land. No Aether Vial this game. We can never lose. Seagate Resto. Joy Disruption actually plays extremely well here, and I'm just going to pass. If they're trying to cast 2 drops, I can punish that. And if they just play a 1-drop, like if they Surveil into an Aether Vial, then do that with their second turn, okay, deal. Dump to Felia. They did not use their mana. That's okay. Philology Archaeologist. Okay, I could play the Philology here, or continue holding up Jwari Disruption and Whir if they don't do anything. Okay, I have a Tameshi in my hand. I'm kind of interested in finding a Whir, a Lotus Bloom. And I don't care if they plot my Whir of Invention because I'm casting it for 0 anyway. Felia. Exile target non-land permanent. Okay. This one's okay. Land number 3. Felia is in for 2. I have done 6 damage to myself already. This will add up. If they had Flicker Wisp, they would have done it pre-combat. Okay. I will Whir my Invention and see what happens with this. Okay, we're getting a fetch in response. And they do have the Interrupter. I hardly know her. Are we tired of that joke yet? We should be. Okay, Whir of Invention costs 2, because things from exile cost 2 more. But I can still play it. I could also Philology Archaeologist, see what happens, or Thundertrap Trainer, see what happens, and then make a decision. Okay, I'm gonna Thundertrap. I found another Whir, a Bayeen Veil. I've been saying Baleen the whole time. That is a word that makes sense in my brain, and Bayeen is not. Okay, Whir of Invention, get in my belly. Does this go to the bottom? Okay, so we know the mountain is near the bottom of my deck, so I don't actually have to... I guess I still have to worry about it. Saying I don't have to worry about it's a little silly. Yeah, I can cast this on a future turn, so I don't even need to do it now. Okay, I'm gonna zap in Sink into Stupor, and then play an Archaeologist. Because if Archaeologist mills over a Belcher, that's something I can grab with Tameshi that I now know is a play I can make. Okay, there's Belcher. I'll take it. I'll put it in my hand, directly into my hand. And we'll see in what way I'm dead. What tricky little thing is this deck going to do that perfectly takes me off balance for exactly 1 turn to kill me? If they play a Knight of the Orchid Phantom, White Phantom Orchid Knight, whatever the fuck that thing's called, they could kill 2 of my lands this turn, and I can only replace 1 of them. Right, my creatures don't reach, so I go to 7. Not attacking with Felia is interesting. Like, I would just block it, but they could have... I guess there's nothing to flicker if you want to push the damage. Alright, that's fair. I accept that as a thing that happened. Okay. There are 2 Jawari Disruptions in my hand. Solitude's a card they play. Okay, I'm gonna Whir from Exile. If they have multiple interrupters, that could cause a cascade of issues for me. Ephemerate. Okay, this is the same thing. You got it. And I cannot Jawari disrupt that. I can play another Philology Archaeologist. They got another interrupter, okay. The dubs have paid off. All right, Jawari Ruins, play that. And now I'm actually dead in 2 hits, and it's not looking great. I can spend 4 mana to play my Whir of Invention, which gets... Okay, I can win if they have nothing. If they can't kill Tameshi or disrupt me further, but I'm dead to an Ephemerate, I'm dead to a Solitude, I'm dead to a Path to Exile. I'd love to draw one of my free counters, the Flare. Flare? Flare, flare, flare? That's not a flare. I'm at 3, so I can't zap in another land. It would cost me 3 to cast this Whir from my hand and cost me 4 to cast this Whir from exile. I guess the 3 leaves up Jawari Disruption. Okay. Well, do they have another piece of interaction? They do indeed. Okay. Well, I am dead. Cool. All right, yeah, that game 1 was just a matter of I was thinking about one thing and got by a different thing. This game, they did a good job checking all the boxes I brought in the mountain. They didn't even try to kill one of my lands. And just the 4th Aven Interrupter got it done. Cool match. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the draw in round number 4 with the turn 4 Goldfish hand. We keep these when we get them. And I have a Shoal that can counter a 0, a 2, a 3, or a 4. Or no, you can't pitch non-blue cards. Never mind. That card would be so good. I can counter a 2, 3, or a 4. Or a 5. Nope, no 4. I'm going to stop talking because I'm clearly incapable. Okay, the race is on. The turn 1 Ocelot Bride. We'll see if the blue splash makes a difference here. Suspend Lotus Bloom, play Suppression Ray as a land, and pass. And the clock's ticking. Drawing a second Trainer would make me feel less bad about countering an Ajani on turn 2. Here comes the Pride. I do have Thundertrap Trainer, which is the one with power, so I could challenge the Pride in combat if they don't get something bigger going. And I am prepared to counter an Ajani if they play one. If they add another 1-drop, I don't really have a plan for that. Dumped a land and played another Pride. Okay, so the triple Pride Goldfish on the play. We have seen this pan out before. It might end up poorly for me. Tameshi. We don't hate Tameshi. Thundertrap Trainer, please buy me some time. Find a good card. I do need my 4th mana, and I prefer not to be dead at the time it shows up. Okay, Flare of Denial versus the guaranteed 4th mana. I think the mana is more important than the Flare at this point. I'm going to take Sink into Stupor. I can counter a 2 or a 3 without really ruining my life. I'd like this Thundertrap Trainer, but I don't need it if they're going to play something that kills me, like a Goblin Bombardment. Okay, something's happening in their draw step. Nope. Okay. They move to their main phase. Okay. Putting me in prison is fine. This is 4. I go to 12. Then I take 6 on the next turn. I go to 6. I shotgun a land. I'm at 3. Dead to Lightning Bolt. I have some concerns. or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're not quite blessed by the city yet. If they have a 1-drop they could play here, that does change the clock completely. Shit. All right. Might just be dead here. Ocelot Pride. On the play, I win easily. On the draw, I'm probably going to lose. Yeah, this kicks them into the city's blessing and everything that comes with that. The Guide of Souls is worth extra damage as well. There's no untapped mana sources I can play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm at 12. I can't chalk in a land here. All right, Thundertrap Trainer. Get in there. Disrupting Shoal, Bane, Veil. If I could cast the Veil this turn, but I can't. None of these cards matter. Spell Snare, if I had that last turn, I could have countered the Guide of Souls, and then the engine wouldn't be online. I guess taking a 1-drop here to give me the ability to counter stuff. But now I actually need a 2-drop, not a 1. Okay, I'm going to take the Bane Veil, and then I'm going to play Sink into Stupor tapped as my land. I guess Tameshi wins if they can't find 1 more damage through my wall of counterspells. And by wall of counterspells, I mean my 1 counterspell that can counter a 2 or 3 mana card. If they don't have another land and they rely on a 2-drop, I actually do win this game. But those are the ifs. I'm currently untapping at 2 life. And they probably won't attack with Ocelot Pride, so I'd be untapping at 4 life. Maybe 3. This is actually really tight. And Tameshi's going to be the difference maker, whether I can win or lose this game. Because I can't play another land. Don't have time for it. Okay, squad's coming. They have identified that they need to deal damage to me. And getting me under 3 life is important for 4th mana considerations. They're going to buff an Ocelot Pride here. That's what makes sense. Okay, that's done. I'm going to block the other one. 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. I end up at 2. And I can counter a 2-drop or a 3-drop, then untap and win. Fingers crossed. Don't have Lightning Bolt. Please cast Goblin Bombardment. I've never asked an opponent to do that before, but I would love for you to just try to bombard my goblins right now. Oh no. Played a land. I mean, a 3-drop's fine. If they play Flage, I win. Let's go! Counter Flage by pitching Sink into Stupor. Yeah, Sink into Stupor is not going to be useful anymore. Did we do it? I've been downplaying Disrupting Shoal this whole league, and I think Disrupting Shoal just said, hey, I'm here. Respect me. So I'm going to go off with 46 cards in my deck. That's enough to win. That's a larger number than 28, last I checked. This is where I learned I've miscounted, and Tameshi doesn't actually get me there, but I think it does. 1, 2, 3, Tameshi. White, white, white. Buy back Lotus Bloom. Pick up lands. If Tameshi doesn't actually add up to 7 mana here, then I lose, but I think it does. Yeah, we're literally just already there. Magic's easy. I was never worried. Did the math from the start. Okay, you know about this Belcher. Or you don't know about this Belcher, but I'm teaching you. Blue in the pool, just in case. Belcher activation on the stack, we did it! Okay, that was as dicey as it gets, that was sweet. Okay, some Boros in the chat. The deck's basically built already with Boros in mind. I did see some Stony Silences out of a previous opponent. Stony Silence, Orum's Chant, and Wear Tear, I think are cards I have to worry about here. Floodmaw bounces Stony Silence and can take the pressure off of an immediate little attack. But getting flooded in game 1, like board flooded, getting aggroed out. Force of Negation does counter Stony Silence, but I'm bringing in Into the Floodmaw, which also enters Stony Silence, so what am I worried about here? That's just a side grade. Portable Hole is something I can whir for that answers Stony Silence. The Disrupting Shoal actually feels better here because so many of their spells are not creatures and they're going to happen before turn 2 when I can have Flare of Denial up. I'm going to cut a Bane Veil. I love shaving 1 or 2 lands from this deck because they don't feel like lands. It's probably wrong, but my casual brain just tells me it's okay. Speaking of things being okay, the 1 of Portable Hole with the 4 of White Source, I'll keep. Opponents on 7. Suppression Ray as a land. The Orderly Plaza. The Elegant Parlor milled a Sacred Foundry. It's weird that you can never really F6 on Magic Online because your opponent could read that somehow. Like if I F6 now, even though I know I don't have Disrupting Shoal, and even if Disrupting Shoal wouldn't disrupt the card that they do play, I do have to leave my interaction up. Oh no, what am I going to do about that? That sucks. Okay, I'll continue playing. Got 2 answers to that in my hand. If I get Blood Mooned, it's actually really awkward because I can't activate Lotus Petal or Lotus Bloom anymore, and also I can't cast Portable Hole to remove the Lotus or remove the Stony Silence. It's a little bit of a risk here. If they do like the full bank Stony Silence into Blood Moon, I am going to lose this game, but I don't want to hang Portable Hole out there this early and let them know that they're what the problem I have to solve. And you also can't Whir in this deck under Blood Moon because it turns all your lands red. They do come into play untapped. And you can play through, like if you just play 7 lands and cast Goblin Charbelcher, Blood Moon doesn't matter. But Blood Moon plus Stony Silence is actually pretty close to a lock if it's not a full lock. Yeah, come on, War of Invention. Disrupting Shoal is good for 2, 3, or 5. Okay, Shoal on 5 gives me a lot of comfort. I'm going to zap in a Specimen as a land, and the other Specimen can block Ocelot Pride if it attacks. This has come up multiple times in this league. The front of these cards are not blank, even though they're not really what you're playing them for. And this also lets me Disrupting Shoal a 1-drop, just on the hard cast. Oh no, Galvanic Discharge, killing my blocker. What would I do about this? I could move that to the Hydroelectric Specimen, but I don't actually care about Floggy Archaeologist dying. I don't want them to be able to bank 3 energy. And if they know there's a 1/4 in play, they're just not going to attack into it. Okay, let's see how this goes. If they have another Galvanic Discharge, they can actually kill this because the Pride has first strike. Isn't that weird? This 1/4. Big little slime buddy. I'll block. It looks like they do have multiple discharges still in the deck. Fair enough. Made you have it. As I work towards solving real problems. Just looking for a War of Invention. A land with 2 cards left in hand. Okay. Fetching basics and about to slam a 3-drop probably. I will disrupt that. Basic Mountain doesn't really matter though. Oh, Flage. I'm not going to disrupt Flage. I can disrupt her on the way back in. Still costs 3. And my life total's high enough that this isn't a fight I need to fight. Not yet. And like Sink into Stupor on Flage is a massive setback. The cats are catting out though. Floggy Archaeologist versus Tameshi is interesting here. Yeah, I think it's just Tameshi. This actually tangles in combat in a way that is useful to me, where that is not entirely true of Floggy Archaeologist. Like Thundertrap Trainer, I would play over Tameshi. And if they just escape Flage to clear Tameshi, I have the Shoal for it. And then their turn's over, not really doing anything. They should probably read that though. Like either I'm bad, desperate, or I have Disrupting Shoal. Those are the 3 things here. And you should give your opponents credit for not being bad. So I'm either desperate or I have the Shoal. A Johnny. So that's another cat. I am actually going to disrupt this. Let's take some pressure off. I'll pitch the Jwari Disruption. If I need to just hold up Sink into Stupor next turn, I will. And make sure I don't get flaged. There are no artifacts or enchantments in my graveyard. I can get back with Tameshi. Hydroelectric Specimen. Okay. I'm going to play Floggy Archaeologist. Now that I have an untapped land, I'm representing Sink into Stupor, even if this misses. Lotus Bloom. I might prefer that in my graveyard. I don't quite win right now. Yeah, if I don't take it, this becomes a 1/4. Okay. I'm actually going to let Floggy Archaeologist be a 1/4. And I could go Portable Hole, start blooming. Or I could zap in Specimen, fend off this Flage for a turn, and then see what next turn looks like. I think I'm going to do that. Okay, I go to 8 here. I just don't have anything to do with the Lotus Bloom yet. And they might think the Stony Silence has my number, which we know it doesn't. Zapping in land number 3 continues to tell the story that I have interaction, though. Wooded Foothills from hand, 1 card left in hand, plus the Flage in the graveyard. This is in crunch time. Shocked in land number 5. What does land number 5 do? Oh, it plays around Force Spike. Okay, playing around Force Spike is smart, but you don't need to fetch before the Flage if that's the line. In bouncing Flage is a temporary solution. I would have much rather countered it, but it goes back in their hand where it could kill Tameshi next turn. So whatever I'm doing has to work this turn. I hope one of the top 2 cards of my deck is Belcher or Whir. Okay, let's start making some magic happen. I even have 2 white sources for the portable hole plus activate Tameshi. Feels like I'm cheating. Bane Veil. That's not what I want. Portable hole. Put that Stony Silence in the hole. They do have 1 unknown card in hand. Destroying an artifact costs 2 off Wear Tear. Oh, what is this? Something's happening. Orum's Chant. Okay, well, I'm not gonna... I might have cast some spells. That's a lie. Okay. Take the Stony Silence. Tameshi could still get back Lotus Bloom and draw a card here. That is not a spell. And I have this cool trick I could do, which is return a land that could be a spell to my hand. However, my lands are not good spells right now. There's no Seek into Stupor face down. Oh my goodness. This is a hard cast Disrupting Shoal on Flage. I'm going to replay Suppression Ray, and I can hard cast Shoal, and then just I'm in a slow Tameshi loop now versus the top of their deck. If they brick for a while, I'm in great shape. If they immediately draw a second answer to Tameshi, I'm in trouble. Though the Suppression Ray, the 5-mana sorcery, tap all creatures your opponent control, you could stun them equal to energy you pay. This doesn't actually make any energy. Yeah, this card is actually not good. Yeah, there's the Flage again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Disrupt that. Oh, X is 4. How did that happen? Oh, because this is a 2-drop. Figured it out. X is 3. Counter that Flage and hope that the card in your hand is not a good one. Even if they have Wear Tear, Tameshi could buy back Portable Hole and just eat the Stony Silence and keep going. So they do need exile-based removal. Oh no! My life is shit. Alright, well, they've drawn 3 Galvanic Discharges against the combo deck this game, and they were all good. 2 of them were good. Alright, game on. My Horned Turtle holding the fort, but Flage is back in business next turn. Good draws. Another Tameshi. Oh, that's a good draw. Well, we were talking about, you know, good rips. I'm just going to shove this into play, and they have to rip again now. I'll play the Bane Coast in case I need more mana next turn. The Arena of Glory is a good draw. Wear Tear is a good draw. Stony Silence is a good draw. If they draw just like a land or an Ajani or a Guide of Souls, any of that shit, they lose. Orum's Chant doesn't matter. Fingers crossed. They're on thin outs, but they do have them. And they didn't have it this time. Cool. On to the final round. That game was really nice. The fair Tameshi grind on a tenuously stable board, that's really satisfying magic. It's cool that this weird-looking combo deck can contain that line in it as well. Let's do it. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw for the final round. Positive record is locked. Bread and Butter 4-1 on the line. I have the turn 4 Goldfish with a Disrupting Shoal. What do we got? Opponent has a Yasova Dragon Claw avatar. An avatar I don't think I've ever seen in the wild before. I wonder what that tells me about their personality. I occasionally joke about the Magic Online avatar and what that says about the opponent, but I watched a few arena streams from like good high rank mythic arena players as I prepared for a standard tournament recently. And they really were like, okay, they have the Teferi avatar and the Azorius sleeves. So that makes me think, and they're just like dialed in, especially on Best of One, where you have to use any information to try to do anything. Uh-oh. Watery Grave Thoughtseize. Yikes. Goodbye, Lotus Bloom or Goblin Charbelcher, probably. The Watery Grave Thoughtseize decks are the decks that I play a lot in Modern, and that's why I didn't see Belcher win for a long time, because I was just doing this. This is really good against what I'm trying to do here. Magic's easy. You took the wrong card. Opponent punted. They didn't punt, I'm goofing. Okay, opponent unpunted by having another Thoughtseize. This takes the Belcher. But as we learned previously, having Lotus Bloom means that Tameshi off the top can rebuy Belcher. This ticks down. Magic the Gathering. I'm gonna shock this in. They've seen the Jwari Disruption, and I want them to have to play around it. If they are slowing down, then I am pulling ahead. But I don't have a solution to counterspell yet. Thought Scour, milled a Frog, and a Murktide. I can disrupt an Oculus if they just shove it here, which they're not going to do because they've seen my hand twice. Unearth Psychic Frog. Well, I cannot counter that. All my hard work for nothing. A Bloom ticks down to 1. Flare of Denial, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna... If I play the Laboratory untapped, I am showing Flare of Denial. Okay, I don't think blitzing my life total is how they're going to beat me here, but this at least lets me fight over my Lotus Bloom, or if they spend 4 mana on an Oculus this turn, or represent a 4th mana for Oculus this turn, that's something I can make a plan for. They're Scouring, dumped a Force of Negation there. I'm able to go off with Jwari Disruption still in my hand. Disrupting Shoal, Jwari Disruption counters Counterspell, which is a card I need to worry about here. They're discarding just extra lands to try to get this game over, realizing that a 14 turn clock is not fast enough. I will figure this out before then. They don't know I have this other Belcher, though. I would Flare of Denial of Thoughtseize. I would not Flare of Denial in Oculus, actually. Oculus would just resolve, and then... I guess I don't have 7 mana, though, because Jwari Disruption is not necessarily untapped. But Shoal covers Counterspell this way, or Force of Negation this way. Watery Grave untapped, and just a pass. So double Counterspell, or hard cast Force of Negation around Jwari Disruption. What are we representing here? Double Counterspell would be miserable. Sink into Stupor is a card this deck plays sometimes. Like if they try to sink my Lotus Bloom that is almost as good as countering it, Psychic Frog will kill me before that matters. Before it comes back around. Let's find out. Okay, Sink into Stupor is the play. I'm going to flare that. Spell Pierce is live now. Spell Snare is not. I'm in. Oh, I am actually just going to shove Charbelcher into play right now. While they're tapped out of counterspells. They can't force a negation with 1 card in hand. They can't counterspell with 1 mana. If they have another Sink into Stupor and bounce my Charbelcher, they might be able to tempo through this. Frog can attack for 4 this turn. That's not enough. I can counter a 2-drop. Discarded Fatal Push. Correctly identified, they don't need that. Discarded Watery Grave. Alright, Moment of Truth. 1 draw step to rule them all. It's got to be a bounce spell. But that bounce spell will win the game. Unless I draw Tameshi, but I don't have white to start the Tameshi chain. Yeah, if they do find Sink into Stupor here, they win. We're about to know who won the game right now. Well, opponent, how'd you do? And it can't be Brazen Borrower, because I can counter Petty Theft. Alright. It just takes drawing the cards that your opponent just Thoughtseized out of your hand twice in a row, and then you're good. Not that hard, really. I think I like my Tamios here. Do I think Tamio can tangle a Psychic Frog and a Born Oculus, though, or should I just focus on my business? I could see Floodmaw being reasonable. Alright, I don't think Tamio actually comes in here. They just have better creatures than me. Spell Snare hits Frog and Counterspell. Force of Negation. The cards I need to Force of Negate don't happen on their turn. Like, Thoughtseize is the premier one. I actually do like Disrupting Shoal. Maybe not enough to play all of them. But I do care about creatures in this matchup. And I do care about countering spells on their turn and mine. The classic board out 1 Bane Veil. And I think I am going down 1 Shoal. Okay, let's get it. I've got the Lotus Bloom, bunch of lands, some flares with no setup. And I don't really want to mulligan versus the Thoughtseize deck. There's a lot to like about just having 7 cards. Okay, my Bloom's at least going to get suspended here before Thoughtseize hits me. I can't actually win the game until turn 4. So they know that they're pretty safe to just play, like, tap out for Frog, tap out for... And tapping out for Oculus takes some setup, but they know that they can do stuff on the play. Like, they could shove Frog and nothing's going to go wrong with it. Orderly Plaza, Lotus Bloom, pass the turn. Disrupting Shoal is the only card they have to think about here, and there's not really much to think about with that. It's just, do I have it, and do I have a 2-drop to go with it? If they jam Frog here, I might just die before this bloom even comes off Suspend. This is also a matchup where they can pretty comfortably just discard 5 cards to Frog and get it done. Maybe the 400 IQ play is to just shock in Hydroelectric Specimen on turn 1, represent Spell Snare. But then if they just show Frog anyway, I'm so fucked. Okay, there's Frog. I would love a Thunder Trap Trainer or something to block it. Hydroelectric Specimen might be able to block someday. I'm just going to play another Suppression Ray and clench my teeth here. My hand is strong against Thoughtseize because all the cards are bad. Got that going for me. Frog is going to get its first pound of flesh here. Thoughtseize probably takes Sink into Stupor because that's the card I have that I would have tried to bounce their Frog in their upkeep, and then they either have to tap mana on their own turn, on the turn my bloom comes down, or their Frog's out of play. Either one I'm okay with. But Sink is the best thing going on here. And there it goes. Oh no, they have a second Frog. It's over. This is a match particularly where having Pact of Negation is nice. Just being able to ram it into a single counterspell and make it work. Okay. They're going for a main phase Thought Scour. They hit Dothy Voidwalker, which they probably are going to unearth here. Yeah, that's annoying. That turns off Tameshi and adds a 3-power creature to the board. The Maw. Okay. I'm going to play Hydroelectric Laboratory tapped, and I'm going to bounce Psychic Frog. Just put it away. If they force a negation this, it's worth 2 cards, where getting hit with Psychic Frog is worth 1 card. Yeah, fine. Deal. Okay. That's gone. Took a Preordain with it. Now they have an Into the Floodmaw in the Void, though, something I have to think about. There's no past plays with Charbelcher available to me anymore. They discarded Nile Spellbomb to make Frog bigger. Down to 14. They draw a card. Thoughtseize. Yeah, my hand sucks. Go ahead. The Specimen is the thing that represents Belcher off the top. Maybe they go there. This handful of counterspells doesn't matter when I'm just dead in 3 hits. Maybe 2 hits if they get aggressive with the Frog. Yep, my Specimen now in the Void as well. Lotus Bloom on the stack. They could consign this trigger. Consign is a card they certainly have access to. Bloom's on the stack. Draw for turn. Spell Snare. Not what I'm looking for. I'll play my Jawari Ruins and hope to rip Belcher next turn, and they have nothing at the same time. If they go into the Floodmaw on my Lotus Bloom, I'll Flare of Denial it. I think that plays bad, though. I think they should just try to get me dead. Depends on what's in their hand. But they don't even know what's in their hand until after combat. Okay, leaving up Voidwalker means that if I counter anything, the counterspell goes into the Void, then they can use my own counterspell to counter back. They dumped an Oculus. I suspect we'll see that back. I'm going to Flare this, even though putting Flare in the Void is not ideal. It's going to be hard to beat a Flare in the Void, but it's going to be harder to win the game next turn through this Oculus. Like, literally impossible. Thunder Trap Trainer. Okay. I'll cast you. I don't have the juice to Offspring it. It's in play. Goblin Charbelcher. I'll put that in my hand. You're on notice, opponent. Oh, wait. Can I resolve Belcher here? I can beat Counterspell plus Flare, because now I have a blue creature. Yeah, I think I should be trying to cast Belcher right now. My Counterspell, they sack their thing, I sack my blue creature. Alright, yeah. This is what we get. Belcher. Best chance it's going to be. Counterspell. Spell Snare. Thread the Needle. Thread the Needle. Flaring me back out of the Void will take 3 power off the board. And if they don't flare me back out of the Void, I just have Flare up for their turn. I've basically put them back in the spot where they need a bounce spell to win. Same spot they were in last game. And this is why we fight over the Oculus last turn. I can beat my own Flare, but if they just, like, hit me for 12 with Belcher in play, it doesn't matter. Okay, the Voidwalker's been sacked. My Flare's been flared. Re-flare, sacking my trainer. They got 1 card in their hand. It can't be Force of Negation. And we are in. They have the card in their hand plus 2 looks at a bounce spell. or a pithing needle or something of the sort. Fingers crossed. The frog's coming in. Might as well draw your card before we see what else is going on here. Here, I just gotta hope their hand is like 2 Thoughtseizes and a Go for the Throat or something. I don't know. Go for the Throat shouldn't be in their deck. An Unearth and 2 Thoughtseizes. 3 counterspells. Anything but Sink into Stupor. Okay, moment of truth. Frog triggers on the stack. Does the card you have beat me or not? Blue. Murktide Regent doesn't do it. 3 in the pool. Sink into Stupor. Okay, so I replay the Belcher, and we do this again next turn. They can attack for 6 represented right now. And my Lotus Bloom is in the Void. And I just drew another one. My Bloom's in the Void, which means that even ripping Tameshi doesn't matter. Wow, they threaded it perfectly into Sink into Stupor, force blue card. All right, now I can't win. Well done. Okay. That makes up for the Thoughtseizes that I just redrew the cards in game 1. Alrighty. We saw Consigned to Memory pitched at the end of that last turn. Shoal is my best chance to keep Frog off the board. I guess Spell Snare into the Flood Maw. I have a bunch of ways to do that, actually. Okay, I'm just going back in with the same deck. I think this makes sense. My hand was awkward and bad the whole time. We got Thoughtseize twice and Counterspelled 3 times, and then it still came down to a lucky rip. Like, they either drew, because they used every card in their hand, the draw step plus Frog produced some combination of the bounce spell to not die immediately, or the force and the blue card. And I'm not raging, I'm just saying, like, that was razor thin. It was a good game. This does not do its thing till turn 3. Disrupting Shoal on 2 and 3 are good. All right, I'm going to keep this, even though it is the slowest hand we've seen probably for the entire league. Okay, Orderly Plaza. Soporific Springs zapped it in, so this is probably a Thought Scour. Okay. Lotus Bloom a little late, but we always take them. Put you on suspend. If they were holding up Spell Snare, I didn't have the mana to curve out anyway, so we'll probably see... Okay, so it is probably Spell Snare then. They didn't Thought Scour in the end step. Oh, are we all in? Or if they discard Oculus here, this might not actually be bad for them. This might be on purpose. If they discard any card other than Oculus, Psychic Frog. Yeah, if you were sandbagging black mana, you could have just played that. What I was thinking is end step, discard Oculus, untap, Black Source, reanimate it. Okay. There's a pretty clear Spell Snare over there, but I'm still gonna run out the card that I have to run out. Like, I don't think that's bad. Maybe, like, I'm supposed to set up an end step War, untap, Pelagi Archaeologist. Their hand is full of interaction. That's the only thing that makes any sense here. And now I'm gonna end step War, rather than play the Slender Trap Trainer. Even though we did just flush out the card I thought I was worried about. Now Force Negation's on my mind. Okay, we'll see if they have a Spell Pierce also. Okay, War of Invention. See if we can get some interaction out of their hand here. Lotus Bloom's in play. Sweet. And going to clean up. Dump to Voidwalker. Go up to 9 mana. If they force a negation this, I'm just not going to fight over it. And I'll play Thundertrap Trainer. But Consigned to Memory is the card they're representing here. I'm going to play Thundertrap Trainer first, because I still have enough mana to sack this to Flare of Denial. I can counter a 1-drop and stick my Belcher and activate it. The Consign doesn't beat me here. I could take a backup Belcher. What am I worried about? Mystical Dispute can be additional stability. Okay. Yeah, I might have to take a turn off belching, but I think Mystical Dispute makes sense as a card to take here. I just have like 3 ways to fight over this Belcher now. Okay, Shoal pitching the 1-drop into the Flood Mod of the sideboard, the MVP. Yeah, they literally need 2 more counterspells here. Flare of Denial. I'm saving the Mystical Dispute for last. This is the one that cost me a turn, gives them an untap. And we did it. I mean, they kept a 1-lander full of cheap interaction and didn't really get there. But that'll happen sometimes. 4 and 1. The match I lost was one where, with a little more format or deck and matchup knowledge, I potentially could have won if I had bounced that Aether Vial. Yeah, this deck continues to impress. I don't know if it is... For me, I don't know if it's more interactive, like better agency, better than like one of the Thoughtseize Frog decks or something like Teamer Breach. But I would definitely play a deck like Belcher in my personal style before I play something like Eldrazi or Boros Energy. And it continues to be well positioned in the metagame. I barely know how to play it. I've played 10 matches live now and put up a 4-1. The deck clearly has legs if you're willing to buy a bunch of weird cards that only go into this deck to play it. Mo, I hope this was informative. If you missed my last Belcher League last month, check that out as well. I've done it twice. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.